Are you in the market for a Toro zero turn? Here at Howe Equipment, we specialize in the Toros, from the small ones up to the big commercials, and we also do power sports. This video is gonna be a little bit different. I wanna go in depth on the Toro zero turns. We're gonna push out the power sports. We're gonna fill the whole showroom. Nothing but Toros here. If you are in the market, this is an absolute must-see. Stay till the end because I'm gonna talk about some of the things you absolutely need to know before you make this purchase. My daughter's helping me today too. So you're thinking about buying a zero turn mower. I will admit, maybe you don't need a mower like this. Maybe $15,000 isn't what you're looking to spend. Well, let's start with the Toro Timecutter line. The Timecutters are for a residential person. The way that Toro works is you've got a Timecutter, a Titan, and then you got the full-on Z-Master. And I'm gonna talk about as I go through each of these mowers, why would you get a Timecutter or a Titan, or why would you eventually move up to that Z-Master? So let's walk over to this side of the showroom and let's talk about the Timecutters. So Timecutters are gonna start out right here at a 42-inch, and this is gonna come with the most basic features you can possibly get. This has a stamped deck. As you're looking and you're trying to kind of price shop around, all that kind of stuff, look here first. If you notice this deck, this has a lipped edge right here, versus if I go up just one level in the Timecutter series, you're getting a fabricated deck. You're gonna see this extra steel reinforcement. It's gonna have more of a squared off edge. So that's number one, what I'm gonna look at. Pretty much any make model you look at, if it's a residential, you are gonna be looking at a 2100cc transmission. The transmissions are what gives you the speed and what gives you the power going up hills. So really nice features here for the Timecutters is this tubular framing. They make a removable caster wheel on the Timecutter series. Toro is known in the last 5 years for offering what they call the My Ride. And that's gonna be in whether you get a Timecutter, a Titan, or the Z-Master. Well, they made a special edition in the Timecutter series this year. There is nothing, and I mean nothing, like sitting on a Toro My Ride. It's like sitting in a recliner, if you can imagine, you know, with a martini in my hand and kind of going down and mowing the grass. You know, there's other mower brands out there that have shock systems and different things that give you that premium suspension, but it's the My Ride that I think is kind of unmatched, you know, compared to maybe some other things that are out there. This is Toro's version of giving that premium feeling, and you're gonna spend an extra $700 to do that. Maybe you've got an half an acre or all the way up to even 4 acres. I'd say maybe the Timecutter could be for you, and of course it's gonna depend on your budget. If you start over here with this Timecutter 42-inch, you're gonna be spending around $3,500. You're gonna stamp deck, you're not getting the My Ride. You see the seat's not quite as plush as going up to the Timecutter 50-inch, which happens to be Toro's most popular mower. When you flip this up, easy access to the battery, which we really like. This one comes standard with a 22 horse Briggs & Stratton engine, and then you can upgrade and you can go up and spend more like $4,000. And that's what's gonna get you into this Timecutter. This one's got a Kawasaki 23 horsepower engine. Transmissions are about the same. If you look from left to right on these two, they've got the exact same frame on here. The decks are different, the engine option gets different, and you see the seat. Now the thing about Toro, if you're watching Toro, I really wish you'd put hour meters on these as a standard. If you press with your finger right in here, you can see a little indentation of where you can put an hour meter. You can go ahead and get the Toro branded hour meter. You're gonna spend around $90. More expensive than I think it should be. Toro, I hope you're listening. And you can go off and get some aftermarket ones for a little bit cheaper. That's one thing I'd say, go ahead and throw an hour meter on there. It's really nice to know what you're looking at. In this Timecutter realm, you're gonna be moving your deck height adjustment up and down right there with your hand. As you go up in trim level, they're gonna give you a little bit of deck lift assist when you're pressing on here. And they give you something called this Smart Speed Control System. That's really more of a beginner level thing. This is gonna limit the speed of your transmission. So when you're learning, if you want to keep that idle all the way to the top, but you want to go slower, you can put it in turtle mode. Maybe you're going around a flower bed, maybe you're just learning and you don't want it to go that fast. It's a nice little feature Toro offers on the Timecutter series. Then we move up to the Titan series. And you can see I've got a Titan right here, kind of next to the Timecutters, and you see that framing gets significantly bigger. you're jumping from 2200cc transmissions to 2800cc transmissions. They do on the Timecutter 60-inch models give you 2800cc transmissions because you're cutting that much more grass. But for all Titans, they're gonna give you 2800cc transmissions. You can look just like before, you got a regular Titan and you got a My Ride version, okay? A little bit bigger, a little more industrial. And you'll notice kind of first off, like I said, the framing, but I also talked about that deck chute at the end. This is more of a commercial type feature, that it's got a rubber piece right here. That's not gonna break. I really like that feature for Toro. Another thing I really like when you go up is you were at 1/2-inch cutting increments for the Timecutter series, and you're getting 1/4-inch cutting increments when you go to the Titan. I really like the system. Press with your pedal. And what I'm doing here is I'm moving it to the height that I want. So right now I'm at 3. I can change it to 3.5. And when I release my foot here, it will drop it to exactly where I want. Another really nice thing about this pedal right here is maybe you're going into a ditch area, or maybe little kiddo left a ball out, right? And you see that? But you can quickly, just with your foot while you're mowing, pop it up so that you're not gonna scalp, or you're not gonna tear up something that's in your yard. So I really like that feature. There's other things as you go around this mower. Look at the tires, they're much bigger here. Look at the engines. This is when you start to notice things as far as engine quality. This is a big bad engine, 26 horsepower Kohler. Now look at the air filter, how it's protruding from the engine on this. And if I walk back to this Kohler that's on the Timecutter, it's got a really nice air filtration system if I pop this off, but it's not protruding from the engine. It's not that big of an air filter. This is significantly bigger, and you're gonna have that much more engine longevity because it's got a better air filtration system. Like I said, the transmissions on this are 2800cc pumps. Why does that matter? It gives you a significantly larger amount of speed compared to the Timecutter series. They've been making a turbo force deck for a long time, and it's got this bull-nosed edge, and it's a super industrial, tough looking deck. You've also got chains that are holding this up as well. So significantly stronger, you know, all those components, even to the front wheels on there, are bigger as well. You know, as far as battery access, those Timecutters, you can flip the seat up, you can get to the battery. Right here, you can get a screwdriver, flathead, pop it up, very easy access to the battery, I like that. And when you get to that Titan series, you are getting an hour meter. The only Timecutter they offer an hour meter is the Timecutter 60-inch. So when you get to the Titan, every single one of them have an hour meter, which to me, it's kind of a standard I like to go by. You come to Howe Equipment, we'll get you an hour meter on a Timecutter. It's gonna cost a little bit more money to do so. The Timecutter has this lever that you can move back and forth. If you press it forward, it's stiffer. And if you bring it all the way back, it's gonna give you this very much recliner type feel. Well, it's a little bit different, like I said, on the Titan. So on the back of the Titan, they give you 2 pieces that you can adjust back here, and I can actually, it's a little more cumbersome. Let me go ahead and loosen this up to kind of push this wherever you want it, but you can move these to wherever you want. And so if you're a lighter person, you can move it in or out, kind of depending on what your weight is. But the same basic idea with that. Right here, this is where you can start to justify buying this mower right here if you are into the commercial cutting. I wouldn't necessarily recommend this at first, but if you're a commercial person and you're really on that budget, then I might tell you this could be the first option where I'm gonna recommend you do this for commercial type use. So this is a Titan Max. What makes this different from the other? Pretty similar, you know, framing as you look from left to right, but this one has 3100cc transmissions. To me, that's a bit of a standard when I'm starting to think of commercialized type features. You want to at least be in the 3000cc pump range. So ZT hydro gear transmissions is what a lot of different companies use, okay? So we went from 2800 to 3100 cc's, and that gives you the speed. And the other thing that's really nice when you jump up to this Titan Max is everything to this point for those transmissions were not serviceable. They're self-contained. And because of that, they're not gonna last quite as long. They're gonna last a long time, don't get me wrong, but they're not gonna last as long as serviceable transmissions. So if I go back here, I can actually pull the hydraulic oil cap, and you can add oil as needed. You can do hydraulic oil changes yourself. And when you can service something, then it's just gonna last that much more. So that's one thing I really like, that they're starting to give you serviceable transmissions right here. You're gonna see the engine's the same. You still got that 26 horsepower Kohler, still got that nice air filter sticking out the back, and this happens to be the Havoc edition for the Titan Max. And if you're into the bling or you want to look better than the next person, this one's for you because they made it all black. You see they got the OG rims, and when you flip up this roll bar right here, it's a rollover protection system. If you're not familiar with what that is, if you're on a hill and this thing tips, this is a protective piece for you that's going to protect you if this does rollover protection bar. And this has LED lights on it. These Titan Max Havoc editions are going for $7,700. I believe if you did not get the Havoc edition and you're a little more want these features, but you're thinking budget-wise, then I think you're going to be closer to the $7,000 mark. So the black and the bling and the lights, that's going to cost you an extra $500, $600, $700. And this is where, if you're a mower enthusiast like myself, you start to get excited, because the Z-Master collection by Toro, that's when you're getting full-on commercial mowers. And they start out with a Z-Master 2000 series. And this is a completely brand new design this year, this 2000 series, inspired by the 4000 series that they gave last year. So I'm gonna kind of go back and forth between a couple of machines. I left this in the showroom on purpose. This is a 2022 model. This is a 4000 series from last year. You can look at these two mowers and see the design point and see how they stole that I-beam framing and some of these other features from what was the old 4000. If you look to my left over here, this is a 2000 series from last year. So it looked like this. This, of course, had the MyRide suspension, and then it upgraded to what we now see, the 2000. So it's basically morphing these two mowers together, and you get this. This is $9,500. A phenomenal price point for a 60-inch commercial mower. I wish Toro would have done it a little bit different. So there's a couple things you see missing here, okay? For one, they're trying to keep their price point aggressively low, and they did not put the armrests on this mower. That's not a huge deal. There's a lot of people out there keeping the price point down. You can add those on after the fact. Not a huge deal to me. But what I did mention to you is the Titan Max, the category below this, has serviceable transmissions. Well, look back here. There's no oil hydraulic reservoir. These are not serviceable transmissions. That's a disappointment to me. But the reality is, if they would have made this serviceable transmissions, that costs more money. Costs more money, point blank, simple, and they were able to keep that price point down. So what would I have rather had? Would I have rather had serviceable transmissions and maybe a $10,000 price point, maybe throw the armrests? They're trying to be competitive with their pricing. I get that. Another thing is, this is the Toro branded engine. When you upgrade, you can get Kohlers, you can get Kawasaki's, they have Vanguard engines. This is the cheaper engine that you can get. These Toro engines have been around for 5 or 10 years. They've got a really good reputation, they really do. On some of the lower line Toro engines, they say that you need to throttle all the way up and then turn the machine off, which is really counterintuitive, because every other engine you're supposed to idle it down and then turn it off. It's just kind of odd to me. Toro makes a really unique design to this engine. You can pull this hose down and the hose will stick down to this point. It makes oil changes really easy. There's a little plastic nipple that's right here that it goes on. Well, one issue that I very commonly have is if you wiggle this and try to pull it off, you have to be extremely careful not to break the plastic piece that's in here. Now those were the Toros of 2022. I hope they've corrected that issue, because what you have to do is you gotta get pliers and wiggle it very carefully not to break that piece. Once you break that seal once, go ahead and put some kind of lubrication on there. You're not gonna have that problem anymore. That's one thing to kind of watch out for with that engine. I talked about the engine, that Kohler 26 back there in the Titan Max. This right here is an air filter that is fully outside of the engine. This air filtration system is better than that of the 26 Kohler. I'd rather have this engine than I would that Kohler 26. I'd probably rather have a Kohler, a Kawasaki, or a Briggs. I've been at this location 1.5 years as a Toro dealer, so I don't have years upon years of experience being a Toro dealer. I have not seen failures in this engine. With all those little quirks kind of things I'm saying, I have seen really good things out of these engines. So in conclusion, would I get something with the Toro engine? Honestly, I would. I'd like the other ones better. If I was shopping by the budget and I wanted to be 500,000 less, this is not a bad engine. I just like the other ones a little bit more. This is a baseline 2000. You can get a 2000 HDX. Like for example, even just last year's model, this one that's got the old frame on it, it's an HDX. The HDX gives you bigger transmissions. You're gonna get a Kawasaki engine. This is a great engine. Now we're finally getting to the point where Toro's gonna start to think about giving you fuel injected options. Last year's 4000, this is where they're starting to give you some of those really premium grade engine options. This has a 26.5 horsepower Kohler engine. The price point, $9,500 on the 2000 series. When you jump to the 4000 series, this one is $12,799. I made a point to leave these two old mowers here because Toro, to try to move some of that old product because it's last year's design, they give some pretty steep discounts. So definitely ask your Toro dealer locally if you can get a better discount if it's a 22 model, because us as a dealer, we can sell that for less and we share half of that cost savings with Toro themselves, and that's why we're allowed to sell that cheaper. So definitely think about that if you're okay with an old design, because here is the old 4000 and look at the brand new 4000. This is not the exact same model because this happens to have this My Ride, but of all Toro zero-turn mowers, this is my favorite, the Toro 4000, for a few different reasons. Toro makes Z Masters in a 2000, a 4000, a 5000, and a 6000 mower. The 4000's a lower trim line than the 5 and 6000s. Why is it my favorite? It's my favorite for a few reasons. One, it looks really cool, and this I-beam construction, it's a really stout, strong frame. It sits up a little bit higher than where the 5000s and 6000s sit. Now here's the baseline premise difference. One, it's the frame, but I keep talking about transmissions. When you're in a 4000, this is a hydro gear transmission. All of them to this point have been a hydro gear transmission. Well, this one is a 4400 transmission. Again, just that much faster, that much stronger up hills. Well, this is a 4000 HDX, so a little bit upgraded. You can get one more level up, and when you do that, you get 5400 cc transmissions. 5400 is as big as they get, okay? And the warranty is phenomenal when you get to that level. All these different mowers I've been talking about, if you get to a 4000 with the 5400 cc transmissions, you're getting a 1500 hour warranty. That's the best in the business. Why do I like this mower category more than the 6000 series mower? These are both My Rides. These are both heavily upgraded. This is the 6000 series, which is that next category up. Well, these have Parker transmissions. It's a completely different transmission. It's an indestructible type pump. They go by a different kind of class, okay? They go by 12cc and 16cc. It's just a different type altogether. The 16cc transmissions are somewhat of the rival to the 5400cc transmissions that you get in the 4000 series. The Parker transmissions, they only back their product up to 1400 hours. But the ZT 5400 pumps, they're backing it for 1500 hours. This one is just tricked out, right, with the My Ride, all this kind of stuff. Pretty darn equivalent to what's over here. This one only has 4400 cc transmissions. You can get them in the 5400s like I'm talking about. If you jump over here to the 6000, which is pretty darn equivalent as far as features, it's got the My Ride, it's got the big black Kawasaki in it. You're getting a 1400 hour warranty right here. You're getting a 1500 hour warranty right here. So I understand you guys that love the Parker transmissions. And if you guys are familiar with Exmark, they're running the exact same frame. Toro owns Exmark. I've got a video that breaks down Toro and Exmark because they're the same thing, by the way. This mower is a tried and true frame. That Toro 4000 series, that's pretty darn new. That frame has come out like in the last 2-3 years. This has been around for a long time. It's a phenomenal frame. It sits low. It holds hills super well because of that. that gas tank is low and between the wheels, and it keeps your center of gravity down. So at this point, it really just depends on the type of person that you are. Do you want to get this tried and true build and the Parker transmissions and know that your center of gravity is slightly lower? Or do you want to go over this way? The 5000 series has 12cc Parker transmissions in them versus the 16cc you're seeing in the 6000. Between the 5 and 6000 series, there are some monster engine options. 38 horsepower Kohler EFI engines, fuel injected options. The 4000 is only sporting these Kawasaki big blocks that are carbureted. So if you want that fuel injected option, you're only gonna get that in the big block series in the 5 and 6000s. And then lastly, here's a bonus for you guys. I said zero turn mowers, but if you've gotten this far in the video, clearly you are interested in commercial mowers. Toro is known for having the Toro Grandstand Multiforce, a machine that you can put just about any attachment on, from a snowblower to an aerator to a bagger, everything. They got like 8, 10 different attachments that you can use with this Multiforce. The Multiforce was inspired by this original Toro Grandstand. If you go with the Toro Grandstand, this is a 23 horsepower Kawasaki carbureted engine option. There is a lot to be said for standing. When you are standing on a machine, your visibility is that much better. And what's really nice about this is, one, you can see things better, but you can also hop off, grab, and then hop back on really easily. And besides that, being on hills, trying to get under things, there's a ton of advantages to this. Now, if you are cutting 5 to 10 acres really consistently, I wouldn't necessarily point and say that a stander is the right thing for you. But if you're at some smaller properties and you don't have this acreage where you're standing the entire time, it's funny, I've talked to different commercial guys. Some people will tell me that this is actually better on their back because their legs are absorbing the brunt of everything. But I have other people that tell me that this hurts their back to stand. And of course, it would be more comfortable to sit. So I think it really depends on the type of person that you are. But I think you would be very surprised that this could be a phenomenal option for you. And I would really experiment with getting into one of these grandstands. Now, like I said, this one inspired the Multiforce, which is a one-of-a-kind machine. It gives you a machine that you can use completely year-round. And you can add things, like I said, the snow blower, you can do a snow plow, you can add an aerator, a dethatcher, all these different things. If you want to learn more about that, then check out my other video I did on the Toro Multiforce over here. I go through everything you really need to know if you're considering doing this. So they put a 26.5 Kohler fuel injected engine option on here. They're giving you that fuel injected because this is gonna be year round. It's gonna be easy to start, whether it be in the heat of the summer or it's going to be in the winter time. You're gonna be in the 12,000 range over here, and then you're gonna be up to 16,000 range if you go this way. I've sold many of these Multiforces already in the short time of being a Toro dealer, and this is the one machine that is so easy to get fleet points for. You can get fleet discount pricing when you get to a certain amount of points for Toro. When you buy this and you start to add some attachments, your price point of 16.2 goes down to like 14.8. You get significant savings, and you're gonna get savings on each of those attachments if you buy enough. So make sure that you definitely ask your dealer if that's something that would make sense for you to add some attachments so you can get fleet pricing. You get that same fleet pricing if you buy a couple of other Z-Masters as well. We are trying to make our dealership somewhat of a Carvana-like experience. I've got quotes for a Multiforce out in Tennessee right now. I'm located in Michigan. I got a quote for a Multiforce out in New York. What I'm about as a dealer is trying to set up my customer for success. And the reality of me trying to sell to someone who's out of state, you could probably look at that and say, does that make a whole lot of sense? Because, you know, Toro's trying to set up a phenomenal dealer network. And if you've got a local Toro dealer that's supporting you well, then I'll say, do not buy from me. I really don't think you should. It wouldn't be the right thing for you to do. There's a lot of phenomenal Toro dealers, but Toro also has to grow with their dealer network, because I'll say there's plenty of dealer networks that are not stocking these types of machines. And you might not have that dealer near you that knows about these machines, that's setting you up the right way. And I will say that there are some select circumstances where it would make sense for you to buy from me. Another great thing about Toro is, talking about that dealer support, there are programs that you can set up that if you buy enough product from me or you can do this with any of the Toro dealers, that you can have stuff delivered to you for free to your doorstep. So we're trying to set up an e-commerce like type experience. Ultimately, my goal in doing this video is to give you guys as much information so you make the best informed possible purchase that you can get. If this was very informative for you and you want to see more stuff like this, subscribe to the channel, follow us, keep watching, and I really appreciate you being here till the end. Till next time, we'll see you.